Good morning, guys. It's Friday, November 16th. That means we're dropping our new merch drop today. If you guys haven't copped some gear from our drop, head on over to shop.throtl.com and pick up some new gear. It's a bunch of cozy stuff in there for the winter months, so do yourself a favor, grab a Mickey Spec shirt and a hoodie. Anyway, I've struggled with how I'm gonna categorize my day-to-day. There's a ton of work that has to get done on the RX-7. As you guys can see in the background, the RX-7 is completely torn apart. And this thing needs to be on a trailer today to head over to my buddy Eric's shop to have the downpipe remade, all of the charge piping remade as I've told you guys about. And there's a lot of things that needed to be redone in order to get to the step where we're able to do that. As you can see, I've got parts galore just sitting out here. This is the Elite spacer that I was telling you guys about that we need. It goes here after the throttle body so that we can clear the oil filler neck on the engine and not be hitting it with our intercooler piping. So a lot of things have arrived. Our muffler's here. Our new gasket from ATP is here for the turbo, so I can put the turbo back in the car now. One thing that the Elite intake manifold spacer did not come with was a gasket. As you guys can see here, there is a groove for a gasket that goes in there. And let me show you, there's one on the intake manifold here. So I need to get another one of these. I did not know, because I got this late last night from the guys up at DNA Garage, that the kit did not come with a gasket. It came with mounting hardware, but no gasket. So luckily, our friends over at Loctite sent us this kit. It is an O-ring making kit. And it's pretty cool, actually. It comes with a bunch of different gauges of rubber, and essentially what you do is you cut it to length, you clean up the material, and you actually make your own O-ring by sealing it on the ends, such as this. There's a glue in here that you put it together, boom, you got your O-ring. So I'm gonna go ahead and create an O-ring for this. That way we can mount this bad boy up and have a nice seal on both sides, and we'll be good to go. Once I get all that stuff bolted back in on the car, we can worry about getting the car over to Eric's shop for the fabrication. All right, I'm gonna kick this off with getting this throttle body situated. With the new spacer that's, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches long, we have to add new studs to the throttle body. As you can see, these are the factory studs here, and they're, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. Instead, we have to install these longer studs so that this part can slip over and be bolted on properly. In order to remove these studs, there's a couple different ways you can do it. There are fancy stud removal sockets out there. I don't have those, so what I do is I use 2 nuts.
These nuts?
Backed up to one another in order to create tension, and then pull them out. So basically 2 M6 nuts, flanged, just because that's what I had laying around. Go ahead and back them up against each other, and what you'll do is you'll go ahead and actually tighten the nuts against one another like this, good and tight. Then you should be able to just back it out. So you use this end, ratcheting in, make it a little easier on us. Boom, stud is out. And then you just remove your nuts off of the end of the stud. Oh, stud is out. Let's move on to the next. Ah, it's so satisfying seeing that actually go on. Alright, so the beauty of our Loctite O-ring kit, as I mentioned earlier, is that we can custom make our own O-rings, rubber O-rings for parts that we don't have one for or that are custom. So we're going to go ahead and use our Loctite O-ring making kit. It comes with all the tools you need to make your own O-ring. So you want to make sure that the mating surfaces of your gasket are as square as possible. I've already cut this material to the length it needs to be. I've left it about an 1/8 inch too long so that we have some extra to cut off to make sure that this is very square. Ah, yes. So this is typically used as like a cigar cutter to cut the tip off of a cigar, but also some of the vacuum line companies and rubber hose companies actually include these as a part that comes with your vacuum lines. What I'm gonna do is actually use this to try to create a straight cut. Yes, that worked much better. All right, there's our gasket. So now I just need to utilize the Loctite waterproofing solution and the instant adhesive that comes in the kit. This is a really nice kit. It comes with everything you need. They even send this cleanup solvent that you're supposed to use on the edge of your razor blade to get the oil that's on the razor blade off before you cut the rubber, because if you have any oil on there, this solution is not gonna stick. Go ahead and grab a towel here and use this to clean off the edges of our rubber gasket to make sure we get the best adhesion possible. I'm guessing you could probably use a brake parts cleaner or paint thinner or something along those lines, but hey, the kit comes with it. The kit comes with it, let's use it. It's actually pretty remarkable how dirty this is. It's actually turned the rag yellow or a little bit brown. So now our ends are clean. I'm gonna let that sort of dry for a second. So the tool that comes in this kit, which I'm trying to throw everywhere, comes with a groove on the top and on the bottom. This is a very big groove, this is a very small groove. What they're wanting you to do is actually lay the material into the groove as this, and then lay the other side in like this, and then apply your glue and hold it together in the groove. And this will create a nice seal and a nice, hopefully, adhesion to glue the part together. So what we're gonna do is, I was actually gonna do it in the part, using it as a fixture, but that's gonna probably result in glue getting everywhere. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and, I think I'm gonna actually tape this in place so that I only have to hold it with one finger instead of two. So let me go grab some tape. Just grab a small piece here, probably gonna have to half it. And this should help keep this where I need it without me having to have my finger on it at all times. All right, here goes nothing. Time to apply the Loctite 404 solution. This is gonna be not auto-focusing ever on anything I ever show you guys. Anyway, it's called Loctite 404, comes in the kit. We're gonna go ahead and apply this to the end of the gasket as such. So now we have our seal on the gasket. Wow, this stuff's pretty cool. Wow, this is tight. Got a good seal already. And now we can actually use the Loctite cleanup solvent to wipe off the excess material, because there is quite a bit of excess on here. I would show you guys, but there is no chance in hell this camera's gonna autofocus on that. You can see the shiny part. The shiny part is extra glue, so we want to get that off. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little more of this solvent onto the rag or onto the towel, and we're gonna go ahead and try to wipe off some of that glue. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Not only is it a nice hold and a nice product, this bailed me out from having to try to order one of these since I need this part today, so that Eric and I can actually finish up all this work before the show tomorrow. Trying to find this gasket and drive around to a Mazda dealership would have been a hassle, if they would have even had it in stock. Boom, custom gasket. That's pretty sick. So thanks to the homies over at Loctite for making a dope product. This is something we've had around the shop for a while. And honestly, this is the first time we've used it. I'm glad I remembered we had it because it has been sitting on the shelf for a while. Shout out to Loctite for making a lot of rad products. We use the stuff around the shop all the time. I showed you guys earlier when I was putting in the studs for this spacer. I also use the Loctite thread locker. The 263, which is their high strength thread locker. We also use the blue around here as well, which is the medium strength. Love it. Awesome. Again, something nice to have around the shop to get you out of a pinch. Thanks again to Loctite for sending that out to us, and I've actually used it. So, awesome. Now I can install this thing. So now that all the work is done, getting this thing prepared for the spacer and the elbow, we can go ahead and toss this throttle body back onto our Elite Rotary Shop intake manifold. We are using our bitchin' Downstar hardware, which will make it look nice and pretty. Again, this throttle body does need to be, it's already been cleaned up. It's as clean as it's gonna get, but it needs to be actually painted to make it look fresh and new again. So we'll get there. The main function for today is to get all this stuff put back together and over to Ilk Fab so that we can get all of the intercooler piping redone, and I cannot wait to show you guys the materials we're using for that because it is insane. Shout out to Vibrant Performance for selling us what I think is going to be probably one of the sickest setups out there, but only time will tell. Just depends on how creative Eric and I decide to get. Okay guys, well today's our giant merch drop, so if you haven't already copped some of our gear, please go do it. Shop.throtl.com. There's very limited quantities of a lot of the Mickey spec stuff. Do yourself a favor and go grab a few things. All of the proceeds from that merchandise goes back into the old bad apple. As you can see, I still have a ton of work ahead of me. We've got a long day and a long night of fabricating ahead. Stay tuned for all that content tomorrow. So yeah. Thanks guys. Thank you so much for your subscription. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. We appreciate it all. Throtl family is the best family. Peace out. We'll see you guys tomorrow.